Well, friends, today I am going to be translating the Mexican president's conference. Well, not a conference. He kind of gave a little talk today about what's going on in the Lozoya case. Apparently, he was granted the opportunity to give the information on the previous presidents that were involved in corruption. Not only them, but you know, he was granted some sort of not immunity, but um, like some kind of a deal, in order for divulging information regarding the case of corruption that they have. And so I'm going to go ahead and start translating what the president had to say. So I hope the sound is good. If it isn't, please let me know. I'd really appreciate it. Sometimes it's hard to get these everything set up without it giving you a hard time. I think I was trying to set up the live um, program here, and let's see. So it's got the wrong picture on there. Let me see if I can edit it. Hold on. Hopefully this will take me to the. It took me to the right place. Perfect. Okay. So what I need to do is change the thumbnail. For Pete's sake. Okay. That's wrong one. Okay, so it looks like I'm going to have to change the thumbnail at the end because it doesn't seem to allow me to change the thumbnail. Okay, so anyway, let's go ahead and let the president talk, and I'll translate what he has to say.
Esta semana
This week
fue muy importante porque
was a very important one because
se dio a conocer
it was filtered, or it was let be known,
la denuncia del señor Lozoya,
the denouncement of Mr. Lozoya,
que implica a muchos
that implicates many
funcionarios públicos, legisladores,
high-functioning officials, legislators,
empresarios,
business owners,
en casos de corrupción.
So in cases of corruption,
como nunca se había visto.
as it had never before been seen.
Claro que la corrupción viene de tiempo atrás.
But of course we know that corruption comes from times past,
Desde hace siglos.
centuries back.
Como siempre lo he dicho,
But as
lo
I've always
que
said,
sucedió en el periodo neoliberal no tiene precedente.
that what
Es
occurred
el saqueo más grande que se haya cometido
in
la historia de
the
México
neoliberal period
en estos últimos
was
36 años.
unprecedented.
Desde 1900
Since what happened in the neoliberal period since
1983 hasta
from 1983
el primero de diciembre
to the 1st of
del
December
2018.
in the year
Es
2018.
el periodo.
That's the period.
neoliberal. Siempre he dicho que
And I've
el
always said
neoliberalismo es neoporfirismo,
that
pero
neoliberalism is
con
actually
mucho en
neoporfirism
cuanto a corrupción.
But it relates a lot to corruption.
privatizaron bienes públicos, se apoderaron del gobierno, secuestraron al gobierno
And they kidnapped,
para
or
hacer jugosos negocios.
so they actually kidnapped the government in order to make juicy deals for themselves.
Privados,
Private
malos
deals.
negocios para la nación, muy buenos negocios para un grupo.
So
De
these
modo
were
que
bad dealings for the nation, but good for just a few. Let's see.
el anterior director de Pemex
So the previous director of Pemex,
el señor Lozoya,
Mr. Lozoya,
decidió hablar porque es acusado de
because he decided to speak, because he stood accused. Saying hello to the people that are tuning into the channel. Hello, Gonzalo, and then we have Wolf de Caldrien here also with us today.
corrupción y decidió solicitar protección
And he
a
decided
cambio de hablar.
to solicit protection in exchange for speaking or telling all.
De decir todo lo que él hizo y sabía y también
So everything that he did, he knew about, or that he was involved in.
Lo que hicieron otros
And also what others
durante
did.
el tiempo en que fue director de Pemex en el
So during that period that he was the director of Pemex.
sexenio pasado, aunque no solo habla de lo que se hizo en el sexenio pasado, también
But he doesn't only talk about what happened in the last 6-year term. He also spoke
de lo que se heredó del anterior sexenio, del sexenio de
also of what was inherited from the previous term, not just what was during his term,
Felipe Calderón. Entonces,
from the term of Felipe Calderón.
esta es la denuncia.
So here you have the declaration.
Es un texto, yo diría que de lectura obligatoria.
And I would say it is something of obligatory reading.
Está en las redes sociales.
And it is in the
Es
social webs.
fuertísimo. Muestra toda la red de complicidades, de componendas,
And it demonstrates the whole web of complicities and people composing things.
de cómo operaba el régimen de corrupción, de injusticias, de privilegios.
So how it worked with injustices and privileges.
Y nunca se había visto algo así.
And
Es
nothing such as this had ever been seen before.
Lozoya habla porque, de acuerdo a la ley, sí se contribuye, sí se participa como testigo.
But now, as he contributes and as he participates as a witness, amigos, ¿se oye bien? se escucha con bastante volumen.
Y la autoridad considera de que con la declaración, con la denuncia, con los datos, con las pruebas,
So that the authorities figure that with all these evidences and all the things that he is declaring, that it is going to make it easier for them.
se puede llegar a conocer toda la verdad,
Then they could
y a castigar a los responsables,
be able
y
to know
también
the whole truth,
a recuperar lo robado.
and
Pues entonces
they might be able to
se le
recover
debe
which was stolen.
otorgar al señor Lozoya en este caso
So in this case, the story is being provided by Mr. Lozoya
como testigo protegido.
as a protected witness.
Algunas consideraciones.
And he is being granted a few considerations in exchange.
Entonces habló como nadie.
And he
había hecho
spoke like no
en
one
la
else.
historia del país sobre corrupción. Y hay muchas
Sí, el video del presidente, por alguna razón u otra, no puedo subirle el volumen.
cosas, acusa a diestra y siniestra.
And so he is accusing from left to right.
Están como 70 personas implicadas.
And there's about 70 people that are implicated.
Expresidentes. Él denuncia a 3.
And there's ex-presidents. He denounces 3 of them, or declares on 3 of them.
Expresidentes. A Carlos Salinas, no como expresidente, sino
So Carlos Salinas, not as an ex-president, but he was working somehow with the
como cabildero, dice. Cabildero,
so he was like a facilitator.
o gestor del PAN.
So he was kind of doing gestures on behalf of the PAN party.
Denuncia a Salinas por eso.
And he declares on Salinas regarding that.
Y denuncia al expresidente Calderón y al expresidente Peña y a secretarios de Hacienda, a funcionarios. Hace una denuncia de
And he tells on some high functioning officials, some company people,
entrega de sobornos,
and regarding the turning over of bribes,
por recibir sobornos a,
or because of receiving bribes.
a senadores del PAN.
And this was related to senators of the PAN party,
Para que aprobaran la llamada reforma energética.
so that they could approve the so-called energy reform.
Y señala muchas cosas. Hay cosas que se tienen que demostrar, desde luego todo tiene que probarse.
And
No se puede acusar.
And so, of course, all of these things have to be demonstrated and proven. You can't just simply accuse people.
Sin pruebas. La fiscalía tiene que hacer un trabajo de investigación. He dicho que le tengo mucha
And so the legal department has to do investigative work. And I've always said
confianza al fiscal Alejandro Manero,
that I have confidence in the district attorney, Alfredo Gersmanero,
y creo que va a actuar con rectitud,
and I believe he is going to behave with rectitude.
Y es un momento definitorio
And it is a defining moment
en la historia de México
in the history of Mexico
para limpiar de corrupción
in order to cleanse it of corruption,
al país,
our country,
para acabar con la peste de la corrupción.
in order to finish once and for all the pestilence, the stink of corruption.
Y no pienso que Alejandro Germanero
And I do not believe that Alejandro Gertz Manero
vaya a dejar de cumplir
I do not believe that he would keep from complying
con sus responsabilidades.
with his responsibilities.
Ojalá y se vaya a fondo, estoy seguro que lo va a hacer.
I hope he digs down deep, gets to the bottom of it, and I'm sure he will.
Desde luego, sin venganzas.
But of course, not with vengeance.
Es justicia, no venganza.
It is justice, not vengeance.
Y en el marco de la legalidad, no juicios sumarios,
And of course, within the margins of the law, and no summary judgments.
no castigar sin pruebas, que no haya también, y esto en general, linchamientos políticos. Bueno,
And there will not be any political lynching.
en la denuncia decía yo
And the declaration, I would say,
se dan a conocer cosas anecdóticas, hasta risas si no fuese tan serio, ¿no?
and so there's some anecdotal things that are mentioned that if it weren't so serious, it might even make you laugh.
De que le mandaron al señor Lozoya a entregar una bolsa a una periodista,
Because on one occasion, they had him give a purse to a newspaper woman.
una bolsa de lujo
It was a luxury purse
de 100,000 pesos,
that cost about 100,000 pesos.
o que le regalaron al presidente Peña un Ferrari.
And also that Presidente Peña was given a present or a gift of a Ferrari.
Este regalo se lo hizo un exgobernador. Todo eso hay
And that was given to him by an ex-governor.
que probarlo.
And of course, all these things have to be proven.
También lo de el dinero que se ve en un video que se entrega a funcionarios
But of course, also, the money that you see in a video where they're turning over money to high-functioning officials,
o trabajadores del PAN,
or that is people that work for the PAN party
del Senado,
of the Senate.
se implica, ya lo dije, a senadores del PAN que aprobaron la llamada reforma.
And so they implicate the members of the PAN party that were involved in getting the energy reform bill passed.
Energética, pero hay dos cosas que yo
But there's
considero,
two things that I consider
fundamentales,
fundamental,
que quiero explicar
and I want to explain
hasta
it,
donde sea posible por cuestiones de
well, up to where it is possible, because these are matters. Now, somebody says here, Borolas, Wolf de Calderian says, Borolas is gutless. That is, he's a coward. He's always denying everything. This is true. Okay.
de tiempo. Además, vamos a seguir tratando este tema.
And so he said, we're going to continue to discuss this matter.
Un caso que denunció es el de la planta de etileno.
And so one of the things he reports on is on the plant of etileno.
Una planta que construyó Odebrecht.
And it was a plant that was constructed by Odebrecht.
Esta empresa brasileña famosísima por
And this is a very famous Brazilian-owned company,
entregaba sobornos
and it was well known that it gave bribes
en distintos países
in several different countries.
por la denuncia que se hizo.
And because of the declaration that was made,
Este señor Odebrecht, el dueño de esta empresa,
he made the declaration, the owner of this company, Odebrecht,
también fue como testigo protegido.
and he was there as a protected witness.
Habló en un juzgado de Estados Unidos.
And he spoke for a judgment in the United States. Sorry, guys.
Señaló a presidentes de países
And so in this case, he pointed out some presidents of some countries
de América Latina
of Latin America.
que fueron a la cárcel, todavía
And they went to jail, and they still are.
hay algunos en la cárcel, altos
And so there's still some high functioning officials that are there.
funcionarios.
And these are high functioning officials.
Pero esa empresa Odebrecht también operó en México.
But that Odebrecht company also operated in Mexico.
Y en el gobierno de Calderón, esa empresa
So during the government or the presidency of Calderón, that company
celebró un contrato con Pemex, un contrato, vamos a decirlo, leonino.
So he granted him a contract. Let's call it like a Lionel.
O sea, que le favorecía totalmente.
That is to say, it favored him totally.
Porque se firma ese contrato
Because they signed that contract
para que Pemex le vendiera a la planta de Odebrecht
because he wanted to help him with the Odebrecht plant.
le vendiera gas etano.
He wanted him to sell him ethanol gas,
66,000 barriles diarios
and he would sell him 66,000 barrels daily
de etano.
of ethanol.
Fue el contrato.
And that was what the contract was for.
El precio de venta con un subsidio
And the price, the sale price, was going to be like a subsidy
de 30% de descuento.
and he was getting a 30% discount.
Del precio de mercado, 30%
So he would get it 30% below the market price.
abajo. si Pemex no le entregaba el metano a Odebrecht,
And if Pemex did not turn over the ethanol to Odebrecht,
el gas para su planta,
the
tenía que
gas,
pagar penalizaciones.
then if he didn't do it on time, he would have to pay penalties.
Esto, pues, desgraciadamente, se cumple.
So this, unfortunately,
¿No? Porque
occurred because
Pemex no tenía gas.
Pemex
Para
had no
firmar
gas.
este contrato,
So in order to sign this contract,
dejaron sin gas a las plantas petroquímicas de Pajaritos. Esto se llevó a cabo
so in order to give them the gas, they did not give it to the Mexican people's refineries.
en la zona de Coatzacoalcos. Entonces dejan
And that was in not provided in the zone of Coatzacoalcos.
sin gas a las plantas petroquímicas de Pemex para surtir gas, para abastecer gas a la
So they left the Pemex companies without gas in order to give the gas to Odebrecht.
planta de Odebrecht, gas subsidiado. Pero poco a poco, pues Pemex deja de producir gas. Ya sabemos que se abandonó la actividad petrolera.
But we know that little by little they began to abandon the petroleum refineries.
Y entonces, además del subsidio,
So in this case, besides the subsidiaries that they were getting,
Pemex tuvo que pagar multas
Pemex also had to pay fines
desde que entró en vigor el contrato.
and it started from the time that the contract went into vigor.
Firmó en 2010 cuando Calderón se empezó a construir la planta y entró la planta a funcionar en el 2015.
So the plant began to work in the year 2015 under Calderón.
Bueno,
I'm sorry, it's they did the contract in 2015, but in with Calderón, or they did the contract with Calderón and it didn't go into vigor until 2015.
¿cuánto se ha pagado de más por el subsidio?
So how much have they paid too much for the subsidiary
A Odebrecht.
to Odebrecht?
Según nuestros cálculos, alrededor de 5,000 millones de pesos. Ese es el subsidio.
So they paid
Pero
about 5,000 million pesos.
también el contrato se estableció que Pemex asumía el costo del transporte
But also in the contract, they included that Pemex would have to pay the expenses of the transport
del etano.
of the ethanol.
Y se están haciendo las cuentas porque es muy probable que además del 30%,
And so we are doing the accounting because it is very probable that on top of the 30% they were getting as a subsidiary,
del subsidio, otro 30%, si no es que más, sea subsidio por el costo del transporte del etano. De modo
and he believes that they got another 30% for the transporting of the product, the ethanol.
Que el gas que se le entregó a Odebrecht
So then the gas that was turned over to Odebrecht
significa un precio de el 30-35% del valor del mercado.
So actually, they only paid about 30 to 35% of the value of the market.
Estamos hablando de un subsidio del 70-75%.
So we're talking about being subsidized for about 70 to 75%.
Hablábamos del subsidio de el 30, que son como 5,000 millones. Pero si se demuestra de que además se debe de incluir el subsidio por el costo de transporte, estaríamos hablando de otros 5,000 millones. O sea,
So he said if they were just talking about the subsidizing of the original amount, it would have been about 5,000 million. But if we're talking about the part for the transport, we're talking about another 5,000 million. So 1,000 million.
estamos hablando de 10,000 millones de pesos.
That is to say 10,000 million pesos.
Eso habría que agregar lo que se ha pagado de multas. Se pagaron de multas
And to that, you would have to add what they paid in fines.
antes del 2019, ya habían pagado 2,814 millones de pesos de multa.
But before the year 2019, they had already paid 2,800,000 pesos.
Y desde el 19 hasta la fecha, porque dejamos de pagar,
But from 2019 to the present, of course, we stopped paying it.
no podemos seguir con esto.
We couldn't allow this to continue.
Se han dejado de pagar 2,100 millones.
So we stopped giving 2,100 million pesos.
Es decir, 10,000 de subsidios por el transporte del
So they got 10,000 for the subsidiaries and the transport, and also
etano y por la venta a bajo precio de este gas a Odebrecht, más las multas, otros 5,000 millones. Estamos hablando de un quebranto a la nación de alrededor de 15,000 millones de pesos.
so there's another 5,000 million that they paid in the fines. So we're talking about 15,000 million pesos that were taken away from the people.
Pero miren,
Un tequila.
por si fuese poco,
But if that wasn't enough,
esta empresa de Odebrecht recibió un crédito
but on top of that, they also received a credit
de Nacional Financiera,
they also bought or got a credit loan
para su construcción.
to construct that refinery or whatever it was that that factory or whatever property they
En
had.
octubre del 2011,
They got the loan.
Banco de Comercio Exterior otorga un crédito a IDESA, que es una de las plantas que dependen de Odebrecht, por $50 millones.
So they got a loan for 50,000 million
A 10 años.
Or was it $50 million
Luego, en
for 10
2012,
years?
también Calderón,
So in the year 2012, also Calderon,
Gobierno Calderón, Nacional Financiera otorga otro crédito por 280 millones de dólares.
then they granted him another $280 million credit.
Y el Banco de Comercio Exterior amplía o otorga otro crédito por 190 millones de dólares.
And then they granted him another credit from another institution for $190 million.
O sea, contrato leonino, con financiamiento público,
So they got this contract that was only beneficial to them, and then they got credit from the public's money.
y estos créditos los van pagando con la devolución del IVA.
So then they paid these credits by returning the IVA.
De modo que todo esto implica mucho, cuando menos, influyentismo.
So this implies a lot, at the very least, least influentialism
Y sobornos
and bribes
a altos funcionarios públicos.
to high-level officials, public officials.
Porque resulta que después Odebrecht, como lo denuncia el señor Lozoya,
So afterwards, Odebrecht, as told by Mr. Lozoya,
aporta dinero para la campaña
he gives money to the campaign
candidato Peña Nieto.
to President
Aporta
Peña
dinero,
Nieto.
Y aporta dinero también para que se apruebe la reforma energética. Entonces,
So he not only gave money to the campaign of Peña Nieto, but he also gave money so that they would move the energy reform bill.
este es un caso. Esta planta de Odebrecht. El otro caso es que se adquiere una planta de fertilizante.
And then they acquired a fertilizer plant
En el sexenio pasado.
during the last
Una
6-year
planta de
term.
fertilizante de Altos Hornos de México.
So they got this fertilizer plant from Altos Hornos in Mexico.
En el tiempo de Salinas, ustedes saben, se privatizaron los fertilizantes. Esa planta llegó a manos del señor Ancira.
So this plant came to the hands of Mr. Ancida,
Entonces, consideró que no era un negocio, la deja
and he didn't consider it to be a good business, so he set it aside.
ahí arrumbada. Y en el sexenio pasado, después de 15, 16 años,
So during the last 6-year term, after it had been abandoned for about 15 to 16 years,
de estar parada, que era ya una chatarra,
and it was already a piece of junk,
deciden comprar la planta.
they decided to buy the plant.
Todo indica y hay avalúos de
And everything indicates, and there's documents that show the value,
que cuando mucho costaba 50 millones.
that it was appraised at about $50 million.
De dólares. Pagaron 275 millones de dólares
But they paid $275 million
por la planta chatarra.
for this piece of junk fertilizer plant.
Y todavía destinaron 200 millones de dólares más para rehabilitarla. El caso es que Pemex tiene ahora una deuda por esa planta
So now Pemex has a debt for that plant
de 5,000 millones de pesos.
5,000 million pesos.
Por esa planta de fertilizante. Está también allá en Pajaritos, en Coatzacoalcos. Estos dos casos muestran el nivel de corrupción.
So he says this is in Pajaritos, Coatzacoalcos, and these two cases alone can show you the level of corruption
Que prevalecía.
that prevailed.
El señor Lozoya no está diciendo todo.
But Mr. Lozoya is not telling us everything.
Hay otra planta también de fertilizantes
Because there is another fertilizer plant
que se adquirió
that was acquired
también con crédito del Nacional Financiera,
that they also got with the national financing company credit,
Banco de Comercio Exterior,
and it's a bank for foreign commerce.
otra planta de fertilizantes, también con cargo a Pemex.
And also it was charged to Pemex.
Se tiene una deuda de 8,000 millones de pesos. Eso fue un saco
And there's a debt of 8,000 million pesos.
sin límite, sin recato alguno.
So it was something that they behaved in a way without limits, without rescue.
Bueno, todo esto lo denuncia, bueno, no todo.
Well, this stuff is denounced by Mr. Lozoya, or all of this. That is to say, not all of it.
Esta última planta, por ejemplo, de fertilizantes, no se menciona aquí.
Because this other plant of fertilizers or fertilizer plant was not mentioned in these documents.
Y el señor Lozoya era director de Pemex.
And at that time, Mr. Lozoya was the director of Pemex.
Entonces, pero ya hay, ahora sí que materia,
But
para
now we have some material
ir al fondo.
so that we could get to the bottom of it.
Le estoy planteando tres cosas. Primero,
So I am proposing three things:
que se sepa,
that it be known,
que no se guarde nada,
that nothing be held secret,
que todos los mexicanos conozcamos cómo operaba el gobierno.
He wants for all Mexicans to know how the previous government was operating,
De corrupción,
its level of corruption.
cómo eran los gobiernos neoliberales,
So how were these neoliberal governments?
cómo se hacían jugosos negocios al amparo
So how did they make these juicy deals with the backing of the government?
del poder electoral. Conocer toda la verdad.
And we need to know the whole truth.
Lo segundo,
And the second thing,
que recuperemos lo robado,
we need to recover that which was stolen,
porque es mucho dinero.
because it's lots of money.
Tenemos que recoger todo lo que se robaron,
And we have to try to gather all that which was stolen
lo más que se pueda.
as much as we can.
De modo que transparencia, recuperar el dinero y Lo tercero, castigar a los responsables.
And so we want to recover the money, and we also want to punish those that are guilty,
Todos los responsables.
all of those that are responsible.
He dicho que en el caso de los presidentes, que se le consulte.
And I've said it before, but in the case of the presidents, that the people be consulted,
Los ciudadanos,
the
para
citizens.
ver qué opinan.
Let's see what their
En la
opinion
medida
is.
que vayan saliendo todas estas cosas,
So as all these things come out to light,
que actúe la fiscalía, tiene que actuar el Poder Judicial, los
so the district attorney, the judicial powers have to act,
jueces,
the
pero
judges,
también que participemos todos.
but also we all have to participate.
Que no se piense que es una venganza política, yo no soy verdugo.
And he says, and don't think this is a political vengeance. This is not my deal. This is not a load I want to carry.
No es muy fuerte la venganza, yo quiero justicia.
And it is not my way to have vengeance. I want justice.
Pero es el momento de limpiar de corrupción, de purificar la vida.
But it is the time to cleanse it of corruption, to clean public life.
Es tan fuerte todo esto
It is so strong, all of this,
que mis adversarios,
that my adversaries,
pensando que con eso me iban a detener,
they thought that they would be able to hold me back by doing this.
sacaron unos videos de mi hermano recibiendo dinero
And they brought out these videos of my brother receiving some money,
para ayudar a Morena
which was to help Morena party
en 2015. Eso
in the year 2015.
no tengo nada que ver con estas cantidades.
But it, of course, was nothing like these quantities.
De todas maneras, es dinero
But in any case, it is still money
que me entrega.
that was turned over to him.
Cuando lo dije también, se lucha por una causa,
And I've said it before, when you fight for a cause,
pues todos aportamos. Yo
we all put our part in.
viví durante mucho tiempo en la oposición
I lived for many years with the opposition
de la cooperación de mucha gente.
by the contributions of many people.
Había hasta una cuenta en el banco en donde todos depositaban.
And there was even an account in the bank where everyone would deposit money.
Muchísimos, millones de mexicanos
A lot of it, millions of Mexican people
han aportado
have given money
para este cambio, para esta transformación, para
for this change, for this transformation,
acabar, para erradicar
in order to finish, to eradicate
con la corrupción. Aquí
corruption.
estoy, por ejemplo, con Madero,
And here I am with Madero.
él hizo la revolución,
He's the one that made that revolution.
y a él le ayudaron.
And he was helped.
Costó la revolución maderista 700,000 pesos.
And the Maderista revolution cost 700,000 pesos.
Y estuvo como parte de los acuerdos de Ciudad Juárez,
And one of the agreements that was made in Ciudad Juárez,
de modo que cuando se constituye el gobierno interino,
that when they constructed the current government, or I'm sorry, the interim government,
se hace un debate en el Congreso,
and they had a debate in Congress,
se demuestra de que se debe gastar ese dinero en la
And they demonstrated that that money was spent
Revolución, en armas,
in the revolution, in arms,
en contratar abogados para sacar a dirigentes que los habían encarcelado.
and it was also used to take people involved in the or directors that were involved that had been incarcerated to take them out of prison.
Para propaganda.
And it was also used for propaganda.
Y se decide que el gobierno devuelva los 700,000 pesos
And they decided that the government should return the 700,000
para que se le regresen a quienes aportaron.
and it was to be returned to those who had given their money.
Ese dinero. Es una revolución que se hace con el apoyo del pueblo.
And that was a revolution that was done with the support of the people.
Nuestro movimiento se hizo con el apoyo del pueblo.
And this, our movement, was done with the support of the people or the backing of the people.
Pero no es esto.
But it's not like this thing.
Esto es corrupción.
This here is corruption.
Otro es cooperación. De todas maneras,
And the other case is cooperation.
estoy planteando que se investigue.
But in any case, I am proposing that they investigate
A David León, que es el que entrega
David Leon, who is the one that's turning over the money.
2 sobres
He turns over 2 envelopes
con dinero a mi hermano
that had money in it to my brother.
y que se investigue a mi hermano.
And let them investigate my brother.
Porque un buen juez por su casa empieza.
Because a good judge begins in his own home.
Si un familiar mío comete un delito, debe de ser castigado.
And if a person of my family commits a crime, he should be punished.
Y yo también estoy en condiciones de declarar. No es la primera vez.
And I am also committed to give my testimony, and it would not be the first time.
Yo haría. He estado muchas veces denunciando corrupción
I have been there many times denouncing corruption,
y he estado también defendiendo. Y he salido de la calumnia ileso. Pero no por eso me van a detener.
but they think that because of that, they're going to be able to hold me back.
Y vamos a dejar de seguir
So they want us to, or think that because of this, we will stop pursuing
insistiendo en limpiar de
and insisting on cleansing of corruption.
corrupción el país. El que nada debe, nada teme.
And we're not going to stop cleansing the country of corruption. If you owe nothing, you have nothing to worry about.
Bueno, este señor,
And this man
gran
here
dirigente,
was a great director,
Ricardo Flores Magón,
Ricardo Fresmagón.
recibió dinero para su causa, que era
He received money for his cause,
el periodismo,
and it was for journalism,
para comprar una imprenta
in order to buy a printing press,
y publicar el periódico Regeneración.
to publish the periodical Regeneración, which is regeneration.
Y el dinero de Madero, Ricardo
And it was money from Madero.
Flores Magón. Y miren, ¿qué decía? Mientras haya un soñador, hay esperanza.
And look what it said here. While there is a dreamer, there is hope.
Yo por eso estoy optimista,
And for this reason, I am optimistic,
porque no solo hay un soñador,
because not only is there a dreamer,
somos millones,
there's millions of them,
mujeres y hombres.
And they're all dreamers, men and women.
Queremos acabar con la corrupción
And we all want to end corruption
y establecer un sistema político
and we want to establish a political system
con moralidad,
with morality,
con ética,
with ethics,
con honestidad,
with honesty,
donde haya justicia y nuestro pueblo sea feliz.
and that there be justice and that our people be happy.
No haya esta inmundicia. En México sea reconocido en el concierto de las naciones
And that there not be this, I don't know, inundation, and it be recognized of the United Nations
como lo que es
for what it is.
un país con un pueblo
It is a country with a people
lleno de valores,
that is full of values
de principios,
and principles,
una gran reserva de valores culturales, morales,
and we have a great reserve of cultural and moral values
espirituales. Esa es la grandeza.
and spiritual ones, and that is the greatness of
Muchas
Mexico. And he said, thank you very much. And thank you so much to all my friends. Gonzalo Garci says, así es, amigo Wolf Calderón, lo que Mara está haciendo por su país y por la 4T es incomparable porque nadie lo está haciendo en el mundo. Por eso valoro mucho su esfuerzo y trabajo. Oh, muchas gracias, Gonzalo. Muchas gracias. Son muy dulces. Agradezco mucho que estén aquí conmigo. Y cuando puedo, y ya sé que no lo hago muy seguido hoy, pero cuando puedo trato de traducir cosas que veo que están pasando ahorita que está diciendo el presidente, porque se me hace muy importante que podamos compartir en inglés. Thank you very much for sticking around, and we're very grateful to the president for doing everything possible to end corruption and doing it with grace. Thank you very much. Muchas gracias, amigos. Besitos y abrazos para todos. Que les vaya muy bien. Saludos especiales a Gonzalo, a Wolf, a ver, ¿a quién más? Jesse, Miranda, Giovanni, Texas NU, Adriana, a ver, Gonzalo otra vez. So, muchas gracias a todos ustedes por acompañarme y no dejarme aquí sola. A que les vaya muy bien. Adiós.